So today's video is the last video that we will be shooting with regards to the disability video series. If you have questions though, however, please Facebook us or Messenger or send us an email. We're glad to help you out with any other questions that you have with anything in regards to people with a disability. So today's topic has to do with employment insurance as a caregiver. So this doesn't mean that you've qualified for disability or even a family member for that matter, but if you've been a caregiver and you've been away from work and you've lost income, then you can qualify if you satisfy the definitions for employment insurance under the caregiver program. Now, this video might be a little bit long and I'm going to read some of the definitions just to make sure I've got all the information for you as clear as possible, because we do get questions on this topic quite often because it's a bit complicated in the matter that if you are helping someone else out who's ill or sick, can you qualify? So let's start with what the benefit offers. So it is employment insurance, and the purpose of it is that you can't go to work because you are being a caregiver for a person. So the benefits up to 55% of your earnings, up to a maximum of $573 per week. And there's 3 different types of programs that you would apply for income under this program. So if you're caregiving for someone who's critically ill, who has an injury, or who is at the end of life. And those are the 3 types of programs. Now, the only reason why there's a different type of program is because it determines the length of benefit time that you would receive employment insurance for. So for example, for caregivers for children under age 18, the benefit amount would be paid up to 35 weeks. If you are a caregiver for an adult, the benefit would pay for 15 weeks. And if you're caring for someone that is needing end-of-life care, the benefit would pay up to 26 weeks. So the dollar amount's the same. It's the amount of benefit time that would vary depending on the type of person that you are caring for. So what the definition of a caregiver is it doesn't mean that you live with that person. It's just that you're caring for them in a matter where you're either helping them emotionally or psychologically, or just having to help care for them from a medical point of view. The big thing to note though is that you have to apply for the benefit within 52 weeks of that person being diagnosed with one of these critical illness or end of life. Because what you can't do is have a condition be several years later and you're now helping someone out and then apply for employment insurance. It has to be within that 52-week period of the diagnosis. Okay, so what's the definition of a caregiver? A caregiver is someone that is family or of like family, and I'll get into what it means that. So if you are caring for somebody, a neighbor let's say, it doesn't mean that you have to be family in order to qualify for the caregiver benefit. So what's the definition of care or support? And the definition is a bit vague, but it basically states right on the CRA site that you are participating in the care or providing support in the form of psychological or emotional support. So pretty vague in my opinion. If I go over to my neighbor's house and I'm just caring for them and helping them emotionally, can I apply for EI? And so we'll get into what some of the more details are. What is the definition of someone that's critically ill or injured? So this is the person that would have the disability that you're caring for. Their definition would be the baseline state of health has changed significantly because of an illness or injury, and as a result, their life is at risk and they need care and support of at least one caregiver. So again, it's not very black and white as far as what that definition reads, but if you use common sense on this definition, I think that you can decide if it's worth and you would be able to satisfy the definition. So the one thing to note though, and I've alluded to this a few minutes ago, is that if that person already has a pre-existing chronic illness, it doesn't mean that you can just apply for employment insurance, the caregiver benefit, whenever you want. So unless the person's health changes significantly because of a new and acute life-threatening event, then you could apply. So that's the definition of critically ill or injured. And end-of-life care, what's the definition of that? Is that a medical professional has basically given someone up to 6 months to live. That's where you could apply for the Caregiver End-of-Life program, which means, again, that the benefit would pay up to 26 weeks. So a lot of information here. I hope we're not going too fast, but again, I get a lot of questions on the details of this program. So qualification. In order to qualify, these are the points that you need to qualify in order for you to apply. So you need to be caring for a family member or a member that is of like family member and falling into one of the categories: critically ill, injured, or end-of-life care. And you also have to have been earning a regular income at work, and you have to be able to not go to work and have lost at least 40% of your income for at least 1 week only. So it's not like you have to wait in order to apply for this benefit. If something serious has happened, you've had to leave work, and you've now been off for 2 weeks, that would satisfy this, this point that you would need to satisfy. The next point, I won't get into the details, but you essentially have to have the number of qualified hours in order to even qualify for employment insurance. And that's the same hours that any mat leave or anything that would require for employment insurance. And lastly, a medical doctor or a nurse practitioner has to diagnose that person with critically ill, injured, or end-of-life care. So the medical doctor has to be involved in order for the employment insurance to be approved. So I just wanted to lastly touch on if they're not a family member, what does that mean, and who decides on what the definition is. So if they're not a family member but you are caring for them, the person that you're caring for has to sign, or you have to have a legal representative sign an attestation form just saying that this person is of like family member to be able to qualify for the program. So hopefully that helps you out. If you do need to apply, you can apply right on the CRA site online. It does take about an hour to fill out the application. And if you can't get it done in one sitting, your information is only saved for 72 hours. So I would urge you to get as prepared as you can before you sit down and complete the app, and give yourself, a couple hours to get it done.